Thank you very much. Greetings, Douglas County. My name is Kelly Robinson, and I'm chair of the Douglas County Board of Commissioners Finance Committee. Today is August 14th, 2023, which is a Monday at 2 p.m. We've got a pretty simple agenda today. We won't belabor it. We had a very robust Board of Commissioners retreat 2 days last week, a couple weeks ago, and it was actually very good, very well structured, very well organized. I would encourage all of our citizens to take a look at that video and get more information about what we accomplished. But before we get started, Director Miller, can you make sure we have a quorum, please?
Yes. Chief of Staff, Tiffany Stewart Stanley.
I'm present.
Chair, Kelly Robinson.
Present.
And Rosalind Miller. And Vice Chair, Chairman Miller.
Is he here?
He is not.
Okay, that's fine. So that means we've got three members out of 4, so we have enough to continue the business of the county in its committee. You did acknowledge Jill Hobson. Is David Good out there?
Yes, he has just joined.
Okay, great. All right, we've got our 2 supporting cast members. Welcome. All right, with that being said, we do have a quorum, so Director Miller, keep going. What's our next first item of first order of business is adoption of the meeting minutes? Is that true?
Yes, for July's the 17th meeting.
Okay, well, hopefully everybody had a chance to take a look at them. If you have, let's just go ahead and adopt them through a resolution or a motion. All in favor of adopting the meeting minutes as presented, say aye. I'll start with myself. Kelly Robinson, yes.
Tiffany Stewart Stanley, yes.
Rosalind Miller, yes.
Great. We have a full adoption of the meeting minutes as presented. All right, Director Miller, next item, first business item should be what, our financial package or report for July 2023?
That is correct.
All right, you have the floor, madam. Take us forward.
Okay, I'm going to pull it up. Okay. I will provide a summary of what you will see when I go in further in detail of the report. But again, this is July's financial report, and the revenue collection is in progress. You're collecting you're at 21.32% of total revenue. You've collected 21%. And as you know, majority of the revenue comes in towards the end of the year. So your collection percent will increase as the months progress throughout the year. Your expenditure, for comparing with July of 2022, you were at $64.4 million. That is an increase of about $6.1 million when comparing to July at the same period. Majority of the increase is due to the wage increase that was done for year of 2022 and 2023. Your revenue for your SPLOST is coming in still over projection. Your revenue increased by $79,000 when compared to last year at this time, which is about a 3% increase.
So what has, real quick, so what has the first 4 months, what, April, May, and June, SPLOST revenue? What are the
It's
actual amounts?
Yes, for the actual amounts, for May was 2.9 million, with a true up of $7,000.
Okay. What about
Then June, 3.1 million, and then July, 3.2 million.
And what was the first month? April?
We received it in May, but it was for the collections of April, and that was 2.9 million.
I get how you framed it. Oh, that's what I want to clarify just for the public as well. Thank you. Hello? All right, keep going.
Yeah.
All
right. Okay. So we will go over our four major funds, and that's general fund, your uninked, fire services, and animal control. And looking at the expenditures for general fund, we're at a total of 70.6 million, and then your revenue is 26.6 million. Your expenditures are over your revenue, so you're have a deficit of 43.9 million. However, you do have fund balance that is funding the operations and at 51.9. So if you minus the 51.9 minus the negative of the 43.9, your fund balance is 7.9. Yes, 7.9 million. However, you do have encumbrance obligations for that 7.9, which makes your unassigned and the negative. And your unassigned means money that you can use for operations. So right now, everything is going to the actual expenditures.
Right, so there's no surplus.
That is correct, not at this time.
Not until the payments come in from correct?
Right, and also their their obligations, meaning it's the obligation come at the end of the year. It could be a PO that we won't pay the vendor until the project is done and it's at the end of the year. So it states negative. It does not mean your account will be in the negative. It's just that it's obligations, and they could be towards the end of the year.
Yeah, no, I get revenue, expenses, and cash flow. I get it.
Okay,
all right.
Cool.
Keep going. All right.
All righty. So the uninked, we have revenue at 2.8 million, and we have expenditures at 7.8. And just like general fund, their expenditures are over the revenue, and it's over by 5 million. Their beginning fund balance is 7.8 million, and their ending is 2.8 million. However, they have 71,000 in outstanding POs, which makes their unassigned at 2.7 million.
Okay.
We'll go to fire, and fire's revenue is 5.4 million. Their expenditures are 11.3. Unlike general fund and uninked, their revenue is more than their expenditures. So they're set aside in 4.1 million to the fund balance. Their beginning fund balance was 564,000, and now plus the 4.1 million, it gives them about 4.6 million in their fund balance. However, they have a few obligations. When you minus their obligations, their unassigned becomes 3.9 versus the 4.6.
Okay, so
Next.
hold on. We'll make a simple questions. So that money that's left over, that unassigned, 3.9 million, Can it be
Yes.
that used for like salary adjustment? Was it just for capital? Explain to the public why that's how that's applied there. Why they've got their own district, and two, um, go ahead. I'll let you speak to it.
Okay. So the fire and EMS service is not part of general fund. So it's not part of general fund's millage rate. That's what it means. However, in a service delivery with the cities, the county and the cities are in a contract agreement that each will provide funding for this fund. And so that's where they receive their revenue. So they receive money from the cities plus the counties. And majority of the money that is going back to fund balance, that 4 million that I mentioned that is over revenue. And it is due to, there's a new fire station, Station 9, that we're preparing for. We're getting the firefighters trained to be able to operate Station 9. A good thing, we received a grant, and the grant is paying for those firefighters. So therefore, the money that was budgeted for is going into fund balance. But that grant is not forever. That grant may run out, may not be renewed. So therefore, they will need that 4.1.
Should we be assigning or restricting that money specifically for that salary for station number 9? If you got about 4 million, 3.9 to your point, that's already unassigned. I hear the spirit that we've got that coming, but we're not right now. Based on what I'm looking at, it's not restricted or assigned. Should we be restricting that to accommodate or some portion of that to ensure we got coverage for these employees when they come online when the building is built?
Yes, I think that is, yes. I think either you do that or you decide, other expenditures that if they need, but I definitely agree. I think it should be restricted.
These some portions are up. So let's take that offline. I'm going to make a suggestion. If there's no objection, that you'll just come back with what is the recommendation that we should do that. Okay.
Okay.
50% of the remaining, or whatever the case may be. I'll let you work with the county administrator. Ma'am Macy, are you okay with that suggestion I made?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I'll let y'all work that out. Rawson, you got that?
Yes, I'm writing it down. If you give me a second, I'm just writing it down right now.
Yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine. No problem. Thank you.
No problem. I think that's a great idea. So that was for fire. Now we're at animal control. Animal control's revenue 1.1 million. Their expenditures 874,000, and like fire, their revenue is more than their expenditures, and they are just like fire too. They're not part of your millage rate for your general fund. However, the city and county does contribute to this fund. So they have 287,000 going into fund balance. Their beginning fund balance was 549,000. And then if you do 549 plus the 287, that gives you an ending balance of 836. And they do have encumbrance outstanding POs of 106,000. That gives them unassigned at 729,000.
Okay.
The next is just in detail of our general fund. And as I mentioned, the revenue, you've collected 21% of revenue. Last year at this time, it was 32.3 million. This year is 26.6. Majority of that difference is grant funds. As you recall, last year, grants were included in your revenue. total. This year we are pulling the grants out, so that is the variance. And also a different way of recording the ARPA fund of the 3.9. This year we do have amount that was contributed to ARPA, however, it's listed differently. Okay. The next is your expenditures for general fund. And as I mentioned, last year it was $64.4 million last year at this time. This year, $70.6 million. And the increase there's about $6 million difference, $6 million more than last year. And it's about a 10% increase, and that is due to the salaries, your salaries and benefits increasing.
So 7% of our expenses is salary. Did I hear you right?
Yeah, the majority of, if the justification, if one asks if you're at 70.6 million, however, last year you were only at 6.4 million, the answer would be it's a 10% increase, and that is due to the salaries and benefits that were increased. As you recall, ARPA provided about 5% to everyone's salary, a 5% increase. Plus you had an adjustments to employees that were below the market.
That's okay. So 70 million in expenses you said 70 million for expenses. In comparison to the overall budget, what percentage is that? 70 million out of what total budget?
It's about 54. You've collected about, not collected, but you spend about 54.26% of your budget, and you should be at about 58%. So you're running 4% under budget.
All right, that's what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Over expenditures, yes, but trending wise, we accommodate. We knew that the salaries have increased, so therefore your budget also increased. So looking at if you're over or under, your expenditures are running under, and they're 4% under budget. You're not over. You're under budget.
Okay. Keep going.
Okay. Next is UNINC, and revenue collected is 24.89%. There's an insurance premium tax that we receive towards the end of the year, and that's around $7 million. So the UNINC will collect the majority of their revenue towards the end of the year also. You have your expenditures for UNINC at 7.8. Last year at 7.5, and it's the same. It's due to the increase of salaries. However, UNINC is under budget by 1.88%. So they're still running under budget. The next is your fire protection services and EMS. The total revenue collected as of July was 15.4 million. They've collected 67.52% of their revenue. The next is their expenditures. Their expenditures are 11.3%. Last year was 9.9 million. I'm sorry, not percent, but 11.3 million compared to last year at 9.9 million. However, fire is running under budget by 8.80% under budget. Next is your animal control services. They've collected 62.6 0.79% of their budget. And their expenditures are at 874,000. They are 11% under budget. Next is the healthcare fund. The healthcare fund, in premiums collected from employees, we've collected 51.09%, and the expenditures are 57.9%. However, your expenditures are over your collections by $969,000. However,
no, go ahead and finish your statement.
However, your beginning fund balance in this fund was at 6.5 million. So if you minus 6.9 million, if you minus 6.5 million minus the 969,000, your ending fund balance is 5.5 million. This fund is under target by 1.24%. Okay. Any questions on the healthcare fund?
No. So we're in the positive.
Yes.
What do we anticipate this year being? Does that reflect this year, or that payment should be coming up due soon, right?
For the
healthcare.
Yeah, actually, we receive those monthlies. Those are actual claims. Okay. So we're paying actual claims.
In real-time claims. Got it.
Yes.
And, do we also pay our premium at the end of the year, right? Or toward the middle of the end of the year? At healthcare.
Well, they could consider those premiums is when we're paying the claims. So that is our premium. That is our amount that we're paying since we're self-insured.
Yeah, but we're funded enough, right? You're saying.
Oh, yeah.
No COVID, nothing. It hasn't been. I mean, it's trending.
No, you're not gonna spend
$5 million. Folks. Yeah.
No. You're fine.
You had experience with that, but I just wanted to make sure. I just wanted you to say it. Okay. All right.
Yeah. This fund is fine. Yes, and it's only looking like this is because there's a lot of activity. Because the past few years, people could not go to the doctor either with COVID or then. The doctor, it was difficult to get an appointment. So it's just now kind of evening where people can start going back to the doctor. So it's just a lot of activity now.
That's what I was like, okay.
Because due to those 2 years, because you were putting money in fund balance. Like if you look at last year's, at this time, you were putting 1.6 million into fund balance because your expenditures, your claims were not high because people were not going to the doctor.
So do we roll that over or do we adjust based on accordingly? Or do we
roll it over, it just becomes part of your, that's why you're able to, this negative now. Yeah, that's why you're able to take this negative now, this negative 969 now, because you were able to fund, you saved, it was going into the fund.
Yeah,
and it was restricted. You didn't use it for anything but for claims.
Very good. Okay.
And the last we kind of went over, but it's the lost and the SPLOST. So the lost, compared to last year, we collected this month 2.2 million. Last year it was just 2 million. So it's about 140,000 over last year. And just to note, last year you received 66.30% of the collections, and this year with the negotiations with the city, that amount was increased, and it's 69.05%.
60, gotcha.
Yes, 69. And for SPLOST, as we mentioned, if you compare last year for July of this, it was 3.1 million. However, July of 2023, it's 3.2 million, which is a $79,000 increase.
Got it. So it's increasing. So what I'm noticing both LOST and SPLOST, there still is inflation, while it's being suggested that it's coming down to a certain extent. Prices may be still somewhat up, but it looks like people are still spending. Looks like there's millions out there like, okay, well, as much as we've had warnings from the feds, like, okay, slow down. It looks like they still plowing through.
That is correct. And also, you know, the cost of items are higher. So if you're buying something that was more this year than last, the sales tax is going to be higher. So it could be also due to the inflation.
Got it.
And that concludes July's financial reports.
Thank you for that. We'll leave that there. I know we'll adopt it tomorrow for the full board. Is Jill Hobson out there? I want to ask her a question. How is she doing? Give her a chance to speak to. How is she doing with grants, and what's anything she wants to report in on?
Hi, Commissioner Robinson. I'm here. We are continuing just our transition in all of our processes, and I'm doing well. So we have a new staff member hopefully coming on next week to provide some relief to me, and I look forward to that. And all is well here.
Okay, so we're getting there. I understand your focus initially was on the ARPA, and how was that going in relation to all other grants? Separate the two for me.
Yeah, ARPA is going well. I mean, we're, you know, the goal is to have all of the scopes and budgets for all the programs by the end of the year. Hopefully get everything into contracting next year. I did meet with county admin recently about bringing the list back to you guys, because there will be some changes we'll have to make. But you know, we're just not quite there yet. We need to continue getting through the project scopes that we haven't reviewed yet. And once that's done, I'm sure we'll be back in front of y'all with that.
Gotcha. So while we're administering and making sure everything, and I love your word, scoping, very good. As far as execution and ongoing project management, not grant management, have you had conversation with the county administrator or Madam AC on how we will handle that, like these internal projects, you know, that $85 million bucket roughly? Yeah, any thoughts?
Yes, we met. I want to say it was 2 weeks ago, but it may have been 3. To kind of go over where we are and what we need to move on, you know, that we haven't started on. So I think we're in good shape.
Okay. Madam AC, you want to say anything toward that? Is she still here? That's okay. She must have been. She's multitasking. All right. So thank you, Jill.
Commissioner, I'm here.
Okay, no, it's okay. Go ahead.
What was your question?
No, Jill was just giving
No, what was your question?
It was really around a follow-up for Jill. She was giving oversight or insight into project management, and about moving forward. In other words, you got the appropriation, and we recognize that you got support staff, but how will we manage the projects out in the field?
So the ARPA projects right now, most of them are being individually managed, because most of them we have brought on different entities that are really managing the project. So for example, like all of the funding we gave out under ARPA to the community service providers, things of that nature, they're managing those projects themselves, and they're reporting back to the county. Yep. As we get into some of the bigger projects that we probably haven't undertaken yet, that we have allocated the funding for, but we have not actually started spending and moving forward with those projects will probably require more of a project manager in that realm. But right now we are just, the projects that we have are mostly being self-managed by the entities that we have given the funds to. and they report back to the county.
No, and I'm right, External. I understand grants. And it was more of a question. I know we're working toward that. We talked about it somewhat at our retreat. Again, you've got $28 million. What 14 million has been encumbered. We got, but it has a perishability associated with that. That's where we are right now. Make sure we don't mess up that federal grant. But then we got the other roughly 50 million that are normal day-to-day daily life Douglas County grants may come and go, ebb and flow. Who's managing that? Make sure we're properly scoped, make sure we properly reported. And I know y'all are working toward that. I just look forward to that new future. That's all.
Yes, and we will, as we move in that direction, we will definitely make sure the board has all the information, as well as the finance committee has all the information regarding those projects going forward.
No, that's fine. Okay, we're going to leave it at that. All right, guys, we won't belabor this thing. And David Good, thank you so much for your reporting today during the Board of Commissioners. And I think they were satisfied, obviously, with your response to you and Terry. In conclusion, I won't belabor this meeting. I know everybody's trying to get to perhaps the concert tonight. And I use this as a when I was teaching at Georgia State, I had this question that was before me, and it was a part of a test. The question was, and I changed it to fit and make it relevant. Does Beyonce do a movie deal for $20 million, or does she go on concert? It was a decision tree. And the students had to figure out, okay, which one does she do? Do I take $20 million up front today, guaranteed, for a movie, or do I go on concerts and try to get that over time? Well, if she's at Mercedes-Benz tonight, and she's, 70,000 people times, $1,000 for easy math, that's 70 million? You multiply that by 3 concerts, that's 210 million. Now, we don't know if the weather happens or not happens. We know trade-off and so on. So should she take the movie deal, or does she do the concerts? You guys determine for yourselves which one's their best interest and why she got 3 concerts here. With that being said, guys, I'm in that type of mood. Thank you so much for joining us at the Douglas County Finance Committee. If there's nothing else that needs to come before us, guys, let this meeting be adjourned. Thank you.
See you, Commissioner.